Hi, my name is Baba Anthony, and I am an owl with Okairon Sode Temple in Miami, Florida. Today's topic is Are we working against our destiny? A wonderful thing about being an Ifa practitioner is that we have divination as a part of our process and our faith. From this divination, we can get information about our current situation. We will have an Ebo offering, we'll have offerings to the Orishas that need to be completed. There will be even information about how we can change our character or adjust our character to support the situation we're seeking divination about. All of this information is important to help us find success. However, there are times that we find ourselves working against our destiny. Let's discuss a couple of different ways that Ifa says we're working against our destiny and how we can help improve that. So, through today's discussion, the things I want you to think about. One, are we facing any of these challenges personally? Two, what are ways that we work against our destiny? And three, how can Ifa assist with getting us back on track? The first Odu I'd like to take a look at today is Otura Meiji. Flippant talks, unguarded speeches. There's nobody that the trap set by the mouth cannot catch. These were Ifa's declarations to Orofo, who gave birth to 2 children, and declared that her home was filled to the brim. She was advised to offer a bow. Orofo is a type of bird in Yoruba land. So I want us to think about that as I share this story. Orofo was very, very sad. All of her friends in the community were having children. They were proud mothers. Orofo had no child of her own. She wept every day. She thought to herself, did it mean that she would live alone and be barren? Did it mean that she would never have her own children? This is the reason she went to have Ifa cast. During the Ifa consultation, the Awo cast the Odu of Otura Meiji. The Awo said that no matter what happens here today, you're going to have the children that you are looking for. However, it is important that you know that you should not broadcast your family life to those in the community. You should keep all information to yourself and keep yourself well guarded. Orofo thought to herself, who is this person to tell me that I can't talk about my family and I can't tell everybody about my beautiful children? So she decides to not offer the Ebo, and she leaves, angry with the Awo. Sometime later, Orofo has 2 eggs, lays 2 eggs. She gives birth to 2 children. They were beautiful. She believed that she was now blessed with having children in her life, and she needed to share that with everybody. So wherever she was in the community, she would be talking about her beautiful children, how her house was filled with food, filled with everything that she needed, and it was so hard taking care of 2 children. She spoke so much about her life, making it seem like it was so much more than it was. Now, if you can believe this, this started to create a bit of jealousy within the community. The other community members thought to themselves, wow, we're down here starving and trying to get through life, and she's celebrating and has so much. Maybe we should go and take a visit. and see if we can take from her so that we don't feel so bad anymore. So the members of the community made their plans, and early one morning, they go to Orofo's nest and they attack. They end up killing Orofo and her two children. Now, the community members looked around and said to themselves, I thought she spoke of having so much extra food and there was so much going on here. We thought we'd be coming for a feast. If only we had known that it was just Orofo and her two children, we could have found our food somewhere else. So that's the story of how Orofo lost her life to bragging about her family situation. This is an important story to think about. If I were to think about it now in today's time, this is like social media, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you social media is bad. It's nice to connect with family. It's nice to connect with friends all over the world. But I remember seeing a story on social media some time ago about a family who had planned a trip of a lifetime. They were going to be gone for a week. They started posting all of their plans, when they were leaving, how long they'd be where they were going to be staying on their trip. Lo and behold, people were watching their social media, and people plotted to go to their home to take from these people that were going on vacation. When they returned home, they found that their home had been burglarized and all of their possessions were taken, all right? All because of the information that they were broadcasting on social media. It's important to know that when we are blessed with certain things in life, that we don't necessarily need to overshare, right? Ifa is telling us that our destiny is for us. The good things that come to us are for us. It's not to say that you can never talk about the good things that are happening in your family, but don't do it in a way that you create jealousy and you create envy. And please understand, I'm not saying that is on you. You can't help but how people feel. You just need to be careful about what you share when you travel, what's going on, right? Those different types of things that will cause people to think about wanting to come and take what is yours. Very, very important thing to think about. The next Odu that I'm going to share today is Osa Oloya, Osa Irete. If you are not an honorable person, do not act like an honorable person. If you are not capable of being independent, do not claim to be independent. Anyone who is not big and mighty, do not breathe like someone who is big and mighty. These were Ifa's declarations to Opolo the toad, who said that he wanted to become the Lord of the River. He was advised to offer a bow. He refused to comply. Here we have a story of Opolo the toad. The toad found himself in a position where he wanted to be king, head of the river. The only issue was that he was highly underqualified. He wasn't big and strong. He wasn't fast. Really, he wasn't all that smart either. However, he portrayed himself as being all of those things. So, at nighttime, he would go out and broadcast to all of the other animals around the river, saying that I am king, I am the one who's in charge. And he did this so loudly that he attracted other predators. If you can only imagine, the attraction of these other predators brought them in to then attack and kill Opolo. So this story is very much like the first one. The difference is now we have the toad who is pretending to be something that they are not. There's a big challenge within our society. Something that I've seen called the imposter syndrome. Instead of focusing on what we came to accomplish, we are looking at what others have. It's not the way to live our life. I see my friend over here has a brand new car. I need to get a new car. My car's, there's nothing wrong with it, but I got to keep up with my friends. I see my friends over here going out and drinking at the club on the weekends. I don't really have the money, but let me go out and hang out with them just, because I need to be a part of the scene. I see these folks over here going on vacations. I don't really have it like that, but, maybe I could borrow a few dollars, and then still go on the vacation and try to hang and, keep up with what's going on. That's a tough way to live. We all have our own individual paths that we need to take. One of the most difficult things that we can do within this current society is to say that I'm going to live the life that I'm supposed to live. So that means if you get invited out and that, hey, I put this money together to work towards getting my house or getting my car or eventually taking a vacation later, that you need to sit back and say, you know what? I can't do that right now. I need to do me just so I can stay on track with my plans. Right? Sometimes we need to find ourselves in a position that we're not always at the top, but we got to work hard in order to push to get to where we need to be. Interestingly enough, Ifa says that we shouldn't all be at the top, because if we were all at the top, then there would be nobody underneath to help support us. We all have our own individual destiny to live. So be careful. Be careful that you are focused on your plan. Be careful that you are focused on accomplishing things that are good for you. Don't think about what others have. Think about what you need to support yourself. Now, let's end this discussion with the Odu of Obara Meji. The rain soaks the tortoise with its shell. This was the Ifa cast for Baba Ajihan Biagogo, he who forms the habit of screaming like a gong, when doing all things without succeeding in any. He was advised to offer Ebo. Here's the story of Baba Ajihan Biagogo. He was in a serious problem. Everything that he attempted to do in his life was a challenge. Many people did not like him. He did not have any relationships that were successful. He didn't have a partner. His family was against him. He had no children. You name it, he was just going through these problems, and he was doing it all alone. However, the challenge was there wasn't anybody working against him. It was him working against himself. Now imagine this. Whenever somebody did him wrong, he would go to a group of people and say to them, this is what he did to me. Can you believe this? And he would go in and complain to make sure that those people were on his side and that they would help gang up against the wrongdoers, against Baba Ajihan Biagogo. However, if you didn't side with him, you now became enemy number one. And that problem just got worse, got worse, and got worse. He would scream at people. He would be so upset with everyone. So life goes on. One day he actually met a very nice woman. And he thought to himself, I should ask this woman to be with her. And she, knowing about Baba Ajihan Biagogo, she said, you must talk to my family first if you would like for us to have a relationship. He found himself insulted. He thought that this young woman was trying to use her family to destroy him. Can you imagine thinking about that? Right? There were, back in those days, marriages were more so arranged by the family because it was the two families coming together in support of each other, in support of the marriage. And he thought, they're trying to trap me. They're trying to destroy my life. Who is she? He got so angry, he ended up walking away from that situation. And here he was again, sad. He had to figure something out because he found himself in a place where that everything was so bad he wanted to give up. So he goes to see the Awo, and the Oduavo Barameji comes. The Awo says, here's the Ebo that we need to offer in order to help support changing your situation. However, here is the character Ebo that you must implement in order for you to see changes in your life. You need to have patience. You need to have humility. You need to be a person who is trustworthy. He hears the words of the Awo, and it gets him thinking, I need to change my life. I need to fix this situation. So he gathers up the money to offer his Ebo, and he hears the advice of the Awo. Shortly after offering the Ebo, he finds out that the community has a work project that is coming up, and he really wants to be a part of this. However, he's at the point where every person in the community knows who he is and knows what he's about. And nobody wants a part of that. But he goes and he begs. And he says, please, I have changed. I've learned from my past mistakes. Please allow me to assist. I will demonstrate to you that I am now a different person and I'm working on improving myself. That was a completely different response than they expected. So they thought to themselves, all right, let's give him a chance. This is the first we've seen this from Baba Aji Han Biagogo. Excuse me, it's a mouthful. This is the first time they've seen this change in attitude, so they thought to themselves, okay, let's give him the opportunity. So he takes on the opportunity working with this community project, and he is a completely changed person. He is working on his character. He's working on his patience. He's working on his humility. He starts to win over the community members that are working with him on this project. Little by little, things are getting better and better. Sometime later, he meets a young woman, and he goes through the process of, treating her very well, going and meeting her family, doing everything that he needs to do. By this time, people are starting to come around. They're seeing this different person who is now working hard to change themselves and to better themselves. Well, his relationship with this woman ends up getting better and better. And eventually they gained the support of the families, they gained the support of the community. A little time later, they get married, they have children, they have a home together. Everything is falling into place. Because Baba Aji Hambia Gogo offered Ebo and heard the advice from the Awo, he had now found his success. We have to know that as Ifa practitioners, it is so, so, so important that the first thing on our minds is how do we live by the tenets of Ifa? How do we find our success to support ourselves so that we can have the support of the community, so that we can have the support of our family, so that we can live the best life that we can live, right? Living our best life does not mean living with anger all the time or having hate against people or having, distaste for anybody who tries to talk to us. No, no, no. Living our best life means someone who is focused on trying to have patience, someone who shows their humility, someone who is dedicated, someone who is benevolent, so on and so forth, right? This is going to be the consistent talk of what it means to be an Ifa practitioner. That is how we can gain the support of the deities. That is how we can live the best life we can live. As in Ofumeji, Heba Odu. Ofumeji says, Olodumare is the one that molds our character. Right? Our creator is the one that molds our character. That's the expectation for us. Right? That's where we can start when it comes to understanding where our problems are coming from. I would challenge many of you to do this. Many of you to do this. If you are going through a lot of challenges in your life, relationships with friends, at work, before coming for a dafa, before coming for divination, sit down and take note. What aspects of Ifa are you applying to your life? Hopefully it's an easy task. You're saying, I feel like I'm being patient. I feel like I'm working on my humility. I feel like I'm dedicated. If those things are there, much of the challenges that you have could probably fix themselves. I'm not saying everything can be fixed because there are people out there who are working against this. There are challenging individuals in our lives. That I get. But sometimes we need to take a look inside and identify what challenges we are creating ourselves. If you don't know, come and let Ifa tell you. Right? This is why I think it's so, so important for us to do things like Ose Ifa. Because even Ose Ifa, if you have your hand of Ifa, Ose Ifa, Ifa can give you messages through that process. Ifa, what do I need to focus on the next 5 days? Is it patience? Is it humility? Is it dedication? Right? That's guidance from Ifa. So with that, I thank you for listening to today's message. I always appreciate you for joining us. This is a pre-recorded message as we've had some challenges at home to not allow me to get on when I needed to get to the computer today. So I am recording and sharing. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to send a message, send a private message, reach out. Our website is on our Facebook page as well as contact information. We're here in Miami and we're working on sharing the philosophy and ethics of Ifa. I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed week. Aboru Aboye.